Good Monday morning, everyone. This is the Her Hoop Stats podcast. It is Monday, June 16th. We are recording a little bit before noon Central Time because we've got our participant from the other side of the country in with us today. So we decided that we weren't going to make her get up at the crack of dawn and immediately come on camera. I, of course, am Jamie Steyer Johnson, but I am joined by Cindy Brunson out in Arizona. And so, Cindy, thank you so much for being here and being flexible with the times and such as always. But glad we could give you at least a little bit of time to maybe get a second cup of coffee today.
Yes, second cup of coffee. Still riding the good vibes of seeing Kalia Copper back on the floor for the Phoenix Mercury. She had 11 points in 18 minutes. I'm sure there was a minutes restriction in play for her, but Ka is one of my favorite players on the planet, and just to see her hooping again, I don't need caffeine today. I'm good.
Don't need it. We'll take it. But yes, that is certainly a little bit of an energy shot to see players getting back into the rotation, to see players kind of breaking out in different ways. Certainly saw a good bit of that over the weekend. As we know, Caitlin Clark returned in a big way. And there are no longer any, no more undefeated teams. And that is pretty wild for how dominant some of these teams look to start. And the fact that there's no undefeated teams, there's no teams that are winless. There's certainly a level of parity, maybe not across the board, but top to bottom, there's certainly very competitive sections. And then, we've also had a really big weekend for the Chicago Sky, and that's kind of where I wanted to start before we get into the rest. And that is first career triple-double for Angel Reese.
How about that?
I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, talking to Brittany Carper on one of our Friday episodes, that I felt like the future for Chicago, especially with Sloot out, was going to be if they could get Angel as more of that sort of distributor position. Not really that she'll be like the floor general, like that kind of has different implications, but someone that the ball can run through, where she makes good decisions. She has so much length, and so she can pass over people, she can pass through people, she can dump things off really well, and her vision has improved so much. The experience she had over the summer with Unrivaled, where she was bringing the ball up the floor, where they were really working on pushing the pace, that's something that I thought was really fun to watch, especially when I was there in person. I thought that was a cool development and something that would certainly help the Sky this year. And now they're getting their feet under them. They're readjusting to very different roles with Sloot out. And you go out and you have a triple-double in a win. And yeah, look, Chicago or Connecticut are not world beaters, but they are another solid team. They are a team that so far this season has been pretty much right on par with the way that Chicago has been playing. And so to do that, to get the win, and the way in which Angel did it, where she's distributing the ball, she's getting to the free throw line. No one is saying that her efficiency around the rim couldn't be improved. Like, that certainly is something that I think she is well aware of, that everyone is well aware of. But I think there's this instinct or this tendency where things have gotten so tribalized, things have gotten so just centered on single players, where no one is perfect. These players are not perfect. These teams are not perfect. These coaches are not perfect. And so when you say that someone does something well, that's not saying that they are flawless. And so I think that there needs to be a lot more acknowledgement of what Angel is doing, what she is developing, what she is bringing to the floor. The fact that she can go out there and distribute in that way, play alongside both Camilla, and then at times the minutes she had alongside Elizabeth Williams, I thought were tremendous. She's able to stretch the floor out, but taking fewer ill-advised shots around the perimeter. She has to keep taking some shots because she needs to draw the defense out. She has to be a threat. And she's had 20 pieces this season. She's had some really efficient games. But long-term, I think this is what we're going to see, is just that versatility. And as people said, kind of doing the Alyssa Thomas thing, being the point forward and doing whatever the defense allows. And so there's been this big push for grow the game. My push is for know the game, and to see what she did, to recognize what her impact is, to recognize what her potential is. You have to know the game for that. And again, no one's saying she's perfect. No one's saying that she's a veteran yet. She's not. She's in her second year. She has a lot of development to do. And she is so cognizant of that. She is so open about that. But I feel like this is such an exciting game, such a big step forward. You're seeing Tyler Marsh's philosophy really start to settle in Chicago, where it's clicking. They're getting what their roles are, what they're supposed to be doing. And I just thought that whatever happens going forward, there's going to continue to be speed bumps. But man, am I excited to see Chicago continue to really embrace what they found here, what they have been finding. And see, I mean, maybe they can go do that, be competitive against some of the better teams as well. I'm just really excited to see what can come of it.
To your point on Coach Marsh, you see his development piece, right? That's what he was known for in Las Vegas. I think that's what the Aces miss now without him on that staff. And Angel grew up being a guard. She was a big guard until she got to college and had to move to the post position. So she's demonstrating what she did all the time she spent growing up and hooping in the DMV, learning those things early, and it's paying off dividends. I love the post-to-post passing. I love that Camilla and her really seem to be on the same page. I know everybody in Brazil is watching. Everybody who speaks Portuguese is like, yes, Camilla, go, go, go. I mean, it's just really, really cool to see.
I think I've seen that exact post on Blue Sky and X many times. Yes, Camilla, right? Go, go, go.
Yes. So that's really awesome to see. And it, to your point, it's all about development. It's adding to your bag, showing fans and the league, you know, because it's good on good competition, no matter what the record is every night, that people can compete and they can grow and get better. We're excited to see that out of Caitlin. You know, her game before she left, she had 10 turnovers. The game she comes back, 32 points, yes, 7 turnovers. So 17 turnovers in 2 games, not ideal, and contrary to what she had done at the beginning of the season. The turnovers were 2 or 3 a game, where you want to see it for a point guard who's so ferocious and could just whip the ball around 94 feet like it's nothing. So for me, Caitlin, bring those turnovers again, bring them down, because now Indiana's playing catch up, right? On paper, they're a top 4 team, but right now they're on the outside looking in for home court advantage. So Caitlin has got to be the catalyst to get that team back to the top of the table in the WNBA, because home court for that team is going to mean so much. When you are second in the league in attendance, and basically road games are home games, but you know it's better at Gamebridge. That's the goal now. Keep everybody healthy for Indiana. That win against the Liberty, so impressive. It does have a little bit of an asterisk because Jonquel Jones was not available. And when New York was full strength and Indiana was full strength, New York got the W. But the top 4 teams in the league, you can see they're creating a little separation. I'm very curious to see if Phoenix can hang in that top 4 or if Indiana bumps them out.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting sort of spot up there. And to the point on turnovers as well, that's the other thing I wanted to highlight on Angel, is that not just the 11 assists, but only the 2 turnovers as well.
And she had 3 steals and a couple blocks.
I was going to say 5 stops, had the 3 steals, had 2 blocks. That's, I mean, that's super impressive. The team as a whole went 17 of 18 from the free throw line, like winning in the margins, doing the little things. Haley Van Lith, massive breakout game. You can just see the chemistry where when she and Angel were talking about how excited they were to play alongside each other again, it was not simply lip service. Like that is so genuine. And you're really seeing a group, I think, that is, again, getting to know each other, getting to know their coach, really getting stuff figured out, and then taking advantage of an opportunity against a Connecticut Sun team that has some big stars, but then beyond that is still figuring some stuff out. But then you look over at the Fever, and exactly like you say, I mean, Fever with Caitlin back, massive day to be able to take down the Liberty. And like you say, you know, you have that little bit of an asterisk with Jonquel out, but that's where you have to look at it and say, gosh, what a huge opportunity for us. And they were ready for the moment. You know, they did not look like they had missed any steps. I really wondered how they would reintegrate Kaylin. Obviously, she started out really strong. She was hitting shots, but it's more about the full team piece for me where, okay, is she still hitting people where they want it? Is she still finding her cutters? Are her teammates still finding her in the right spot? And I felt like that all looked really solid. And that's with truly a game where it wouldn't have been out of the realm of possibility for it to be a little bit of a struggle because, again, it is really, really difficult to reintegrate people. You also were not truly at full strength because you didn't have DeWanna Bonner either. And so that really changes things a lot. And DeWanna hasn't completely gotten going to the degree that we know she's capable of, but she has been a major contributor. And so you do miss her. And so I just thought that I was really impressed with not just the offense, but also the defense in a lot of ways. I think to hold New York to shooting just over 20% from three. Not easy.
Sabrina was the only one eating. That was it. Like,
yeah.
Everybody else, it was kind of like, wow, where did this team go? And tip of the cap to Kelsey Mitchell. Her fourth quarter, oh my goodness. You know, I know daggery isn't a word, but she had 2 threes in the fourth quarter that both felt daggery. It was just, okay, she is closing the door. And Caitlin was getting a blow on the bench. I know there was a minutes restriction in play for her. I think it kind of got ignored as well because you don't want to burn her out or have her suffer another injury to that quad. So she went on that heater. She didn't score very much in the second half, but just the threat of her being on the floor, creating space, you could just see the shoulders relax a little bit for Kels. And I think that was a big difference maker. And then Aaliyah Boston. You know, she was in single digits going into the fourth quarter, and then she got going as well. So many freaking weapons on that Fever team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is it's hard to really go through and not go essentially down the entire roster because if you want to talk about clutch shots, Sydney Colson.
Yes, Sid. 10 huge points, no turnovers, 6 dimes. Sid gets it. And that's why Indiana signed her, right? She's going to come in. She's going to be a steadying force. She can play defense because, you know, the knock on that team a lot of the times is the backcourt defense, right? You bring Caitlin Clark out when you need a defensive stop. You put her in on the offensive side. We've seen those offensive substitutions for the Fever by head coach Stephanie White. So you don't have to do that with Sid Colson. Sid can defend. And give Caitlin rest. You know, you don't want to be a team that has to burn Caitlin out. And I think they're being very cognizant of that as well. And Sid is proving to be an ideal stopper for them.
Yeah, I mean, when you're coming to the game and Caitlin says, "Yeah, I don't really have a minutes restriction. Like I didn't want to come back with a minutes restriction. I want to be able to just go." But you do know that the Fever staff is cognizant of the fact that okay, she's coming back from injury. We don't want to your point, burn her out immediately. Like you want to get some rest. Like that is that's the ideal way to go in general. And so when you have, I mean, especially Sydney Colson is someone who had, I think, some rough patches when Caitlin first went out because all of a sudden you're shifting into an extremely different role that you were not really anticipating being in this year. But as I said at the very beginning of this whole stretch, that is the ideal situation for Indiana coming out of Caitlin being gone is people were able to push themselves a little bit, maybe have some uncomfortable situations, but come back and be better for it. And I think that Sydney Colson is absolutely someone who is so much better for it because she kind of speed ran getting familiar with all of her new teammates. Like she spent a lot of minutes out there running things and had some hiccups, got some of those tough runs out of her system. And now is just comfortable again, back to playing more the minutes that she's used to getting about 20 the other night and going out and exactly like you said, 6 assists, didn't have a turnover, had a steal, and just looked a lot more comfortable, a lot more familiar. You have Aaliyah Boston, who, again, like you said, not a huge scoring night for her, but 10 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, just a single turnover. Like, that is tremendous efficiency. And so you may not be having eye-popping numbers from people in every single category every night, because that's not the way a team game works, but you can see the impact that each of these players have when they're on the court. And that's not even getting to the fact that they also have Sophie Cunningham back, which just, again, changes really the flow of the game offensively, defensively. It's a shame that they have to then cut Ari McDonald because of the hardship waiver, but obviously having Sophie back is really big. And I mean, as many have speculated, I would think that Ari's probably going to end up back on a roster much sooner rather than later. But
Chicago?
for Indiana,
Chicago.
I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad about it at all. Like, I'm very intrigued by what could happen there. But for them just getting that group back together that they have learned to kind of rely on, and then hopefully everything okay with DB. Hopefully she's back with the team as soon as she can be. But to be looking like that in Caitlin's first game back is extremely impressive, and it definitely raises some eyebrows. Like you say, okay, are they going to be really in there contending for one of these top spots in the W? Because what they are contending for is the Commissioner's Cup, because they are now in control of their own destiny as far as that goes, owning the head-to-head against the Liberty, and both of them with only one loss. So very intrigued by the potential for a Fever Commissioner's Cup matchup. Huge shout out to the Valkyries for many reasons, but especially as a Lynx fan, for the little bit of a boost to put the Lynx back in control of their own destiny as far as that goes. But man, the Commissioner's Cup is really lining up to be very intriguing, and we'll have that settled here. I believe on Tuesday is the last game, maybe this week, sometime this week.
Last game in the East. The last game in the East, because the West plays 6 games because they got more teams, right? So
we're wrapping it up this week, I know, and my days are kind of jumbled together, I'll say, but yeah, I'm super excited to be able to like look ahead to that. Yeah, okay, I have confirmed our last games for the Commissioner's Cup are in fact on Tuesday. It's a big slate all on Tuesday. And the highlights being that if the Indiana Fever beat the Connecticut Sun, and then if the Minnesota Lynx beat the Las Vegas Aces, an interesting one for sure. That will be the matchup. But obviously, if either of those teams drop it, then we get into some kind of crazy potential tiebreaker scenarios. So really excited about that. But I want to now be able to move on to one of the teams I sped by really quick that I know we want to talk about, which is the Valkyries, because we talked about Tyler Marsh. I think this may not be like a full topic for today, but I think that maybe there needs to be a little bit more recognition of the fact that the Aces had both Tyler Marsh and Natalie Nakase on their bench, and they are both out doing really great things and really thriving and really showing what they're capable of as coaches. And that's got to be a pretty tough adjustment for Vegas and the Aces. And so there's a whole lot of stuff going on there, but I don't think that really gets talked about enough as far as kind of the adversity that Las Vegas is facing this year. Because if you look at Golden State right now, I am blown away by what Natalie has done out there, by what her group is doing. They work so hard. As you said, incredible environment. I was posting about this online, and I had someone like, yeah, I'm a season ticket holder, but, and I know I'm biased, but I think it's like the greatest environment ever. She's like, their environment has rivaled the NBA games I've seen out there. Like, I mean, people are so bought in, and man, I mean, they just keep bringing more people into the fold. I gotta say, I've been my biggest question mark maybe for the Valkyries has been, okay, you have about as great of role players, and they were saying in their presser the other day, they're a team of 6 women where they've all been in this really similar situation. And my thing has been, they need to find their go-to. They need to find their focal point. And I think they're finding some options. One that I wasn't necessarily anticipating. I figured, okay, yeah, Kayla Thornton, you can get in there. Yeah, Monique Billings, you're going to have your games. The person I was not expecting to have in that conversation has been Carla Late, and unlocking her has brought them to another level. I mean, just across the board, like, I got to give them, a slow clap, because a lot of season left, but you have just matched the win total for surpassed and matched the win total of the last 2 expansion teams within your first 10 games. Like, that is unprecedented. It is so incredible. And that's with now a whole bunch of your Eurobasket players are already missing, and you're doing that. And they're just fun to watch. The effort is so fun to watch.
The EuroLeague Light team. I love that team. Been to Valhalla. An amazing experience. I think it will only be comparable to a trip that I will take next month to Barclays Center. To me, just from watching on TV, those 2 environments seem to be the best in the WNBA, with Indiana being a close third. I only give the nod to Barclays and to Chase Center because the Valkyries fan base has understood the assignment. They are leading the league in attendance. If anybody had that on their bingo card at the beginning of the season, then you knew way more than a lot of us, because that has just been, 18,000 strong. And they're bought in. They are 10 toes down. They get it. They're diehard women's basketball fans. They know when to cheer. They don't need prompting. It is unbelievable. And I get the same vibe when I watch Barclays. And then, of course, Ellie, one of the best mascots in all of the world. I think that just gives the Liberty just a nod. Any mascot that has the nails done and carries a handbag, come on. That is just so top tier.
When your mascot is getting like magazine covers and selling her own merch to that level, like, got the Hersey going, like,
yes.
It's, I mean, truly, it's part of the whole, like, marketing ecosystem, the whole mass appeal ecosystem where people are doing things right at the right time. I love that they say that it's still the same person that's been Ellie from the very beginning. Like, that's staying true to your roots. That is something that I think the W is really known for. And so you can take that one instance and extrapolate that to all sorts of other situations within this league and say, yeah, this is why people love it. This is why when people become fans, when people lock in, they don't go away. This is, it's so beloved. It's so close to the heart. Yeah, there's so many places I need to get. I'm super jealous. I'm like living vicariously through your tour this summer. But to have the Liberties environment, to be able to be on the same level as that in your first year, in your inaugural year, I mean, what that says about the intentionality, the outreach, the community building, the buy-in from the Bay Area, like, I can't say enough impressed things about them. I mean, even this is such a like funny little thing, but I'm watching their game and I'm seeing that their in-game host has these incredible jeans, like they're ripped jeans. Some of them have basketball material sewn into them and the others have net sewn over them. And then their whole like hype crew has these shorts that are split, and one half is the Valkyries pattern and the other half has basketball netting over them. I've never seen anything like either of those. I'm obsessed. Like, I'm sitting there talking about it and screenshotting it to share with other people online because they're like, wait, I missed that. Can I see too? And I'm sitting here like scheming to make my own. Like, it's just, it's such little stuff, but it's so impactful where here I am talking about the fashion of the game day ops crews in the Valkyries, and it's getting them talked about more. It gets you more of that recognition. Like, it's appealing to any potential demographic, any potential group, the fashion, like it's so exciting to see these things blossom and to see this many opportunities to kind of show off the different areas and the different teams and stuff, and they're doing it, and it's just so fun.
Yes. And to that point, when you have 18,000 fans cheering for you, I don't care if you haven't been a star in this league or if you've never been, quote unquote, the guy, that gives you buoyancy like nothing else. That lets Veronica Burton post a double-double. Like, you know what I mean? They're just, the buy-in by the fan base is so critical. And you already see it going on in Toronto. The Tempo have got it together. What they are ramping up to do is so exciting, led by General Manager Monica Wright Rogers. I mean, it's going to be elite. I mean, they understand now what the bar Golden State has set, and I think they're ready to meet it. So thumbs up all around for everybody helping to grow this game.
And we've talked about, you know, their environment and just the vibes coming off of Golden State, but the gameplay, I mean, what they did to Seattle was incredible.
And Seattle was rolling, right? We had put Seattle into that top 4 conversation. Here they go. They're firing on all cylinders. Gabby Williams is really starting to blossom on both ends of the floor. Offensively, she's leading the league in steals now, defensively. So, that really got my attention. I was like, oh, okay. You not only does Natalie Nakase demonstrate what kind of coach she is, right? She emotes. She's the emotional, you know, she's the barometer, right? And you see that possibly missing from the aces as well, that maybe the players went to her, I'm upset with this, I want to do that. And she was the one who took it in and said, it's okay, it's going to be great, just do XYZ and keep it moving to keep that out of Becky's space so she could concentrate on X's and O's. So you can see what she's bringing to the table and how she is just pouring into the players. And she has said openly several times, you know, when they were ramping up in the short time that they had before the start of the season, that she was crying. She would openly just tears, you know, Kleenex passing around like, guys, I want this so badly for you. We can make this together and make it work if we're all pulling on the same rope. And that has really got buy-in from her players as well, because they've just got this whole, why not us? Why not us? Nobody knows what Janelle Salon can do. We do. Yeah. Like her game is so nice. I mean, they have so many nice pieces. And I think they've built a culture in such a quick amount of time that even though they're losing players to Eurobasket like Temi Fagbunle, they're going to be okay.
Yeah, and Temi certainly a tough loss because she's been tremendous lately, had 16 on 8 of 14 shooting against Seattle. But I do think a lot of it comes down to having this open rapport, I think, with your coaching staff, having that like true bond, true connection, being as open as Natalie Nakase is, like you say, you know, being okay with being emotional. Like that's something that I talk about a lot. Look, I've cried on air many a time in my career. Like it's just something that happens because especially my primary coverage is Iowa State. It's a team I grew up around. It's a team I know extremely well. And so there's been times where the things they have accomplished have hit me deeper than just a basketball game. And our fans understand that. Our fans have also literally watched me grow up being there since I was like 6 years old. So they get it. But I think there's a lot of times, again, like a sense of, okay, we want to be taken seriously. And so we have to kind of push back against these narratives about women and being too emotional or, you know, whatever. And I think that that's a huge strength where you care, you bond with each other, you have those emotions. For the record, anger, also an emotion, kind of gets overlooked in a lot of those conversations. And so when you have emotions other than anger, when you're disappointed, when you're sad, when you're also excited, when you're so happy you cry, like that is powerful. And again, that's what I think bonds people so strongly to the W, to the people that play, to the people that coach, to the people that cover it. Because if you've been doing it for long, you care, because it has not been easy to be involved in it, to cover it, to really be as embedded as so many people are. And so then when you have a coach, especially a young up and coming coach that understands and embraces that, and then not just does it, but uses it as such a strength and is able to take that to bring her team to another level and to go out and already see some of the success they've had, to go out and have some of the individual games that they've had, to the point where we're a quarter of the way to the season and they're not out of anything. Like, most expansion teams would be like, well, yeah, maybe they have this one piece, or maybe they figured this one thing out. Like, they are middle of the pack, which for them is incredible. Like, you point at it and you just say, this is what we talk about as far as the history of the W, as far as what the future looks like. Like, this is what the future looks like to me, is a group that's bought in, as a team, a fan base that's bought in, a very intentionally constructed roster and coaching staff and front office. It's just like, to have that be your prototype for the expansion that's coming in the next few years is thrilling, because it is so exciting to watch, where everyone looks at it and says, I want to be there. I want to go see it. Where I hear you talk about Valhalla and I'm like, it is top of my list. Like, I gotta get there. And I know I'm not the only one. Like, it's just, I keep saying things are exciting. These things are fun. This weekend was like just a laundry list of all the things that are so great about the W, because there's so many great teams. There's so many great players. And at this point in the season, they're finding their footing, and man, we're seeing people thrive.
I know. Final points on Valhalla. Best basketball surface in the WNBA. The herringbone hardwood.
Yes.
A chef's kiss. And the colorway. I love that violet color.
I'm a purple girly.
So beautiful. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, 100%. Jamie, I did not know that you have shed tears on air. I have never done that. I have gotten very choked up. I was struggling to speak on my last Sports Center before I left Bristol, Connecticut to follow my husband west. And then a couple of times, as we said so long, to the Pac-12 network. My last basketball game with Joan Bonvicini as my analyst, and my last softball game with Kenzie Fowler as my analyst. I got choked up, and I was glad I was off camera, because there were tears, there. And but I can't say that I cried, because I was just trying to hold it together. Because when I cry, it's an ugly cry, and my voice goes. So I was just trying to maintain.
See, I have the benefit of Iowa State is all radio for me, so you can't see it. But there's definitely been ones that you can kind of hear. Well, because for one, college is hard because you have this finite time with them.
Oh, for sure.
So, especially when you get to senior nights and stuff. But there was, my very first season was 2019-2020. And going into senior night, Iowa State, massive underdog against Baylor. Like,
ooh, I remember that.
Was given zero chance. I called the game with Iowa State legend John Walters, and I was like, well, great. I get to do senior night, and I get to work with John, so whatever else happens, fine. And they won. And that ended up being the last game of the season, because then everything got canceled. So I definitely was crying a little bit on air there. And then when Iowa State won the Big 12 tournament 2 years ago, when, again, no one really gave them much of a shot. It was after, you had a season where you're a little thin on the bench, and you go out, and the Ashley Jones and Lexi Donarski and Emily Ryan and all of them, and hadn't won it. It was the last time it was in the space in Kansas City that it had been in for 20 years. And so first time Iowa State had won it since 2001. And yeah, I was so blown away. I was definitely crying courtside there. But Hey, I mean, like I said, that's literally my family. So,
Nothing
it
wrong with that.
happens.
No, I'm envious of your ability to emote like that. That's really, really cool because it's a connective tissue, right?
Hmm.
You relate to your fans, you relate to anybody who has ever worn the Iowa State school colors. There's a bond there, you know. I got choked up when I accepted an award at my alma mater, Washington State University.
Hmm.
My College of Communications, Edward R. Murrow, inducted me into its Hall of Achievement. Now, I got choked up that day and I did cry because I was like, what? This is not really happening. And I spent a lot of my acceptance speech thanking the women who I looked up to throughout my career.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was a lot, but those are really the only instances I can think of being in front of people on a microphone, on TV or what have you, and really losing it. Maybe I should just
Yeah.
put that on my bucket list. Go ahead. If,
Yeah.
you know, I tell you what, if the current iteration of the Seattle Storm won, because that's my hometown team. I grew up
Yeah.
in Tacoma, south of Seattle, and being at Climate Pledge Arena was so special.
Mhm.
And I just thought, I don't want to be bad luck to this team, but if they win, you won't be able to shut me up. And of course, the Atlanta Dream went on such a heater and came
Mhm.
back from 17 down and won when I was there. And oh, by the way, sneaky, sneaky good are the Atlanta Dream. When you have Ali Shagray and Ryan Howard, that's just not fair. Like one scored a dozen in the first quarter, Gray, and then Howard said, "Oh, you did that in the
Just
first
like
quarter. Let me
handing
do it
off
in the
the
second
baton.
quarter." Yes, it was just like that was, in Sunday's game. Like what they just their ability to put the ball in the basket, and then they can go big with BG and Bree Jones and it's wow, that team is really, really special. I'm very curious to see if they can stay in the top 4.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because Indiana wants to play its way in there. So who's going to cede ground? And can Seattle get more consistent? Because when
Mhm.
Seattle was up on Atlanta in front of my eyes there, Seattle looked like world beaters. NECA looked like
Mhm.
2016 MVP award winning NECA. Gabby
Mhm.
Williams was firing. And the only thing that I looked up and saw, because Climate Pledge has a couple of different scoreboard situations that hang down from the ceilings. So you kind of have to train yourself where to look. Um, Going into the fourth quarter, Skylar Diggins Smith only had 2 assists, and I went, "Uh oh, uh oh, she's top 5 in the league in assists. Wait, what?
Mhm.
Why isn't she distributing? She was scoring, which is great, but I think Seattle is so much better when she's doing both. When
Mhm.
she is that Swiss Army knife, defending like her life depends on it, getting the steals, the live ball turnovers, scoring the basketball, and distributing. So that was the big warning flag. And then, of course, Ali Shagray decides to go on a heater, and the rest is history. And it's a big part of the reason why Atlanta is one of the top 4 teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Atlanta, how they have Alicia Gray doing it on both ends of the floor, and then you have Ryan Howard, who has stepped up her defense in such a tremendous way. And so, yeah, when they are locked in, and when you have again a coaching staff that has been so well assembled, and I think that they probably were doing the same thing as you, looking up at the scoreboard and seeing that Skylar Diggins has 2 assists and saying, perfect, because you've had those 2 players defending her and really trying to force her into primarily being a scoring guard, which boy
Mhm.
is she capable of. But
Oh,
that's
100%.
when they are at their best, is when she is doing all of the things. And so that is certainly a great level of recognition for Atlanta. And it's funny because I was having this conversation online over the weekend where
Mhm.
someone said, yeah, you got to get Carl Smesko in that coach of the year conversation. I'm like, who hasn't had him in that conversation?
Yeah.
And like, I'm so out of the loop on like the general discourse, I think, because I'm so intentional about finding people that are also fanatical and obsessed like I am. And so
Mm.
I get a little bit away from the common narratives that get parroted sort of everywhere. And the conversation I was having is like, I feel like I'm not seeing Atlanta talked about, was what I was hearing from some people. And I'm like, that's crazy, because I have to make a conscious effort not to make half of every episode I do here about the dream, because I
Mhm.
am so impressed with what they've been doing. I'm so obsessed with what their options are. And I start looking around and I'm like, huh, they really aren't being talked about in a lot of these like major big media conversations. And so
Phoenix isn't being talked about either.
Phoenix,
like,
it's and they've got their pieces coming back. Like they're just getting Ka work back in. They're just getting Natasha Mack work back in. Like their rookies are absurd. Like
yes.
How are we not discussing any of it?
Yeah, Satu Sabali is one of the top scorers in the league, and she's not even shooting the 3 ball very well. You could say the same thing about Ryan Howard. So those numbers are going to go up, which makes each player equally super scary. And the wins that they are racking up now, they're banking because, the schedule is going to get hard. Phoenix has a huge road trip coming up June, July, where they're going to get tested, right? They're finally going to see the New York Liberty for the first time this season. And when it has come to the tippy top tier teams, Minnesota and Seattle at the time, they're 1-2 against Seattle and they are 0-2 against Minnesota. So Phoenix, to me, has to demonstrate if you want to be lumped in with the big dogs in the top 4 in the league, you got to beat New York. You got to beat Minnesota. You got to beat Atlanta, the teams that are in front of you. Indiana has shown, okay, when we're firing on all cylinders and Caitlin is the straw that's stirring the drink, we're good to go. We can compete. And so that's why I'm looking for Indiana to play its way up. So who's going to give ground? Will it be Seattle? Will it be Phoenix? Will Atlanta drop back? And I don't see Atlanta giving ground. So to me, if I'm Indiana, I'm looking at Phoenix going, that's our target. When we do head to head, because last year they came, I was so blown away. We didn't call that game. It was ABC, ESPN, whatever. So I bought a ticket. I went, I'm sitting in the stands. And it was the first time that I had heard the opposing fans louder than the X Factor. And that was jarring. I was just sitting there. Yes. I mean, the home court advantage went out the door. And as soon as there was a little blood in the water and the Fever fans were like, oh, we got a shot. We're down 2 possessions. Woo, 1 possession game. Boom. They took the lead. And I thought I was in Cambridge. It was bananas. So, Phoenix needs to beat the teams on the schedule they're supposed to beat, because when it comes to the top teams, there's no margin for error, because I think for Phoenix to go far in the playoffs, they've got to have home court too.
Yep. It definitely is going to be a massive, massive advantage to get to home court. And so it feels early to be talking about it, but also things just, it's a snowball. Like
we're a quarter of the way through the season.
A quarter of the way. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, you think, okay, well, they still have 75% of the season. Well, they've set the table for what that other 3 quarters is going to look like. And so the little things are the separators. And so if, the rhythm that you're in right now is pretty akin to what you can generally expect over the course of the season. Like there's not going to be massive, massive shifts usually made after your first couple weeks. And so certainly very intriguing. And that's without even getting into every incredible performance over the weekend, which will make the quick obligatory Nafisa Collier note, which is wow.
MVP is my new thing.
Incredible.
MVP. The numbers that she is putting up with the efficiency, which is frightening. You can tell that revenge tour is off to a very white hot start.
Yeah. You can go down the list. Like when you pull it up on our Her Hoop Stats platform, when you look at her per game numbers, first in points per game, she's sitting at 5th in rebounds per game, 2nd in steals per game, 4th in blocks per game. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And she's doing it. She's dominating, but she's also the great teammate, right? She's finding her open teammates. She's loving on everybody. She's encouraging. She's You know, she's just got that big dog attitude, and it's really cool to see. And you knew when she didn't win MVP last year or the year before, that that was the motivation. It was like, okay. And I mean, at this point, Asia set the bar so dang high. Does Fee have to score 1,000 points to just make sure that she's created enough separation for herself in this boat? Because Caitlin is coming. She might have missed too many games to really be a part of it, but you can't count her out. And then Alyssa Thomas, another huge double double. She's always flirting with a triple double. And as far as Phoenix wants to go, AT will take them, right? As far as the Mercury envision themselves going, AT will be driving that bus. And so that means she's good for 10 to 12 assists a night, in addition to scoring in double figures and getting a bunch of rebounds, some steals, being a defensive stopper. So when you look at the conversation for MVP in this league, yes, Fee, I think, is at the top of the list, but she's certainly not alone.
No, there's a very exciting race there. I mean, Alicia Gray, obviously in there, as you've mentioned many a time. It's yeah, there's a lot of arguments to be made, and a quarter of the way through is enough of a sample size to have the conversation, but certainly not enough to close it. And so there's going to be a lot to be said here.
Let's not forget Satu Sabali. She's putting up career highs across the board as well. And I tell you what, if her usage rate comes down just a smidge, nobody plays more minutes in the WNBA than Satu Sabali right now. You figure with Mac coming back from injury, Mac Truck, as we like to call her in the Valley, that those numbers will come down just a smidge because you don't want to burn her out, right? She's been on the mic calling out the commissioner, 9 games in 18 days. That kind of thing is going to continue to happen because of the compressed schedule, right? We've got 44 games for the first time ever. I mentioned that road trip they have coming up in July, end of June. That's just going to be brutal. So it's the usage rate for me, for my comfort level, watching the Mercury has got to come down for Satu because you do not want to burn the unicorn out. She's only had one really successful season of playing a lot of games, and that was her last All-Star run in 23.
Yeah, I mean, when you have someone who has a history of having these injury issues, that's the thing you want to do is not put yourself in a scramble situation where it gets too far down the line and you have to completely pull her. It's like you got to kind of be proactive. And so hopefully with those players coming back, able to share the wealth a little bit, get her a little bit more rest, especially in some of those tough situations, those road swings. Because, we want to see her healthy. We want to see her finishing out a full season because this is certainly a fun one for the Mercury. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Cindy, I feel like we've gotten all over, talked about as many topics as someone can in this span of time. And as always, it's incredible to get your perspective. Every topic I bring up, I'm like sitting here just giggling because I'm so excited to hear what you have to say about it, because so often it's something that I'm completely in agreement with, but a perspective or a thought I haven't had myself yet. So, and that's kind of the whole point of us being here, I feel like. So I think everyone at home is thinking kind of the same thing. So as always, guys, you can find Cindy Brunson online at Cindy Brunson AZ. She's got some awesome thoughts that she's sharing on various social media platforms, X, Blue Sky, all that fun stuff. You can find me anywhere at JSteyz, JSTEYZ. As always, Her Hoop Stats is going to be basically any social media platform you're looking for. They're going to have, obviously, our daily podcast, as well as all of their tremendous content, daily newsletters, other more deep analysis, especially as we get into all-star voting, starting to predict maybe potential awards, things like that. I mean, there's a million things we could be talking about, including Eurobasket, which we sent out a special episode over the weekend regarding Eurobasket. So if you're looking for a little bit more women's basketball, if you're not quite getting your fix with the W, because could always use a little bit more, we have an awesome episode giving you sort of the rundown on Eurobasket, the different teams, the different players over there. Certainly plenty of people going over from the W. So check out everything coming out from the Her Hoop Stats Network. keep following Cindy. You could find me if you want, if you're not getting enough of me on these podcasts. I understand if you are. But Cindy, you can always get more of her. So
there's
thank
no
you so much.
thing. Jamie, there's no such thing.
Oh, bless. Wasn't teeing it up, but I appreciate it. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. The two of us will be back next week. I'll be back a couple times this week, and we'll be here every day this week, barring StreamYard taking another break. So we'll talk to you tomorrow, next week, whenever we hear you. Thanks, guys.